This is Rocky Marciano. When I held the heavyweight title, they called me the Brompton Blockbuster. You'll find out why.
On the evening of Monday, March 1st, 1948, the then Rocco Marciano, representing New England at heavyweight, would compete at the prestigious Golden Gloves in the Grove Arena, New York. His opponent would be Coley Wallace, a fighter already being touted as the champion in waiting. Fight fans see the local favourite Coley Wallace in action as he wins the Golden Gloves tournament, quote the New York Herald, on the first morning of the three-day tourney. That Wallace won the fight has gone into the history books, and until his passing in 2005, it was a victory Wallace would elaborate upon until it became canon. It was an easy fight. I had him down twice, Wallace would recall, adding, Marciano was like a street fighter, a good beginner. He was swinging wild, never hit me solid, and didn't hit that hard. I found Rocky to be a strong, determined fighter. After I floored him in the second round, Marciano came up swinging. Although I won the decision, I had to admire his grim determination. Rocky, naturally, saw it differently. I got underneath his punches and hit him in the rib cage and clubbed him on the back of the head. He stood tall like Ezzard Charles, but he couldn't box me because of my awkward manoeuvres. I had a little bob and weave even then, so I did fairly well. Rocky would even add that at the end of the fight, he saw one of Wallace's handlers throw the towel at him in disgust, as if to say, you big bum, you lost that fight. But journalist Jimmy Breslin concurred with Wallace. He felt that those who did not believe that Coley won the fight, and win convincingly, were taking part in a sort of revisionist history. Were they there, or were they making it up? But someone was there. Lowell Sun sport editor John Kenny, and he captured that evening's events for posterity.
Before we go on, please subscribe, like, and ring the notification bell to learn more about the remarkable Rocky Marciano.
A tree grows in Brooklyn, and for all of the boxing fans packed in Ridgewood Grove for the first round of the All-Eastern Golden Gloves Championship yesterday afternoon, certain of the so-called authorities associated with the judging of relative ring merits of amateur boxing boys could well be lashed to the trunk and left to the vultures, or even suspended by the neck from one of its spreading branches. In one of the most putrid decisions ever handed down from a Golden Gloves tournament anywhere, Rocco Marciano of Brockton was penciled into the limbo of eliminated contenders after glorifying the Sun Charities New England team in the hearts of 3,000 fans by administering Coley Wallace, New York Metropolitan Champion, the pasting of that Goliath's career. In a word, it was a stinkeroo. The fans from Brooklyn, Manhattan, Bronx and Queens, who up to the bell time didn't know Marciano from a hole in the wall, milled their way from the back of the arena down to the very ropes after the final bout's decision was rendered. They raged for fully 15 minutes in a fruitless protest, buttonholing anybody who looked like an official, and at times even threatening violence. Said a reporter from the Puerto Rican newspaper El Mundo, how can New York expect various zones of the United States, which have district tournaments, to return after a decision like that? He was talking as fans picked up Marciano as a baby and smothered him with pats on the back, finally setting his feet on the Grove floor at Coach Tommy Rawson's insistence. All the way up to the far dressing room, the bewildered Rocco was pounded enthusiastically, his way impeded by fans who just wanted to shake hands with him. Hundreds of throats gave volume to the one yell, "You won that fight, son," or another, "The decision is only two blind men's, not ours, boy." Rocco came out of his corner at the first bell and swished one of those uppercuts right at the giant's jowls. He missed. Wallace closed in to devour this presumptive New Englander, whereupon Marciano slammed one into Wallace's stomach and threw a right to the face that you could hear as far as Beaver Brook, Dracook. Mr. Wallace's expression changed. The fans began to take off their overcoats. If there has been any thoughts in the minds of the Lowell fans that Rocco acquired his Lowell victories too easily, or that he went to New York actually untested by reason of the fact that he never had to take it, well, they should have been here. Wallace beat Rocco back to the ropes by sheer power in that first round, but Marciano wheeled quickly and put Wallace into the same spot, trying desperately to connect with that uppercut. Momentarily, the behemoth put both gloves to his face for self-protection. The fans loved it. Apparently they had not seen this before from Wallace. They adopted Rocco heart, glove and trunks from that moment. Marciano bore right in, belting Wallace to a point where it was reckless. Having only attack in his instincts, he was wide open. But here's where Wallace lost the fight in this man's book. Wallace swung back again and again, but missed by the margin of home plate to outfield. They were tied in at close quarters in the first round's end. Marciano couldn't knock Wallace out. That was evident in the first round. It was that kind of a fight. As the second canto started, however, Rocco pitched everything he had into an aggressive, always moving offence. The bigger man backed up, circled, wheeled away and never counterpunched. Wallace always covered, then fought his way out with ungainly punches that only landed without aim. Wallace apparently had figured at this stage that if he swung often enough, he might catch Rocco with something wild. Marciano was driving rights and lefts to Wallace's head in a neutral corner when the bell rang. Marciano didn't win the third and final round, nor did he lose it. Wary to a point where only self-gumption carried him through, the Brockton hope kept on whirling them in, but his Sunday punch was ineffective. It wasn't because he wasn't connecting, but because Wallace was too tall for the smaller Rocco's whammaroo. His big poke to the jaw connected often enough, but by the time it reached its objective, it had passed the radius of effectiveness. To hit Wallace with that sleeper, Marciano had to hoist it upwards as a hod carrier carries up the bricks. The stronger Wallace kept on weathering a terrific attack, but when he threw a fresher set of punches at Rocco in the third round, he always found more gloves in his face. These were mostly exhausted punches, but they were there. Just before the bell sounded, Marciano rallied all he had left and was fighting only with his heart as Wallace awkwardly stumbled with what appeared to be puzzlement and panic. They were all in at close quarters when the last bell sounded. By that time the joint was going crazy. Gene Caggiano, who handles Rocco back in the base state, leapt into the ring with wild delirium. So did Rawson and Cabral. Fans were applauding the happy Marciano to a point where the announcer could hardly be heard. The loudspeaker finally got its request for quiet. The announcer looked over the slips in the traditional manner and then spoke. "The winner," he said, "Wallace." Ridgewood Grove became pandemonium. A roar went up first, and it was of one word: no. It continued for a quarter hour. Reporters demanded explanations. These were from Jacksonville and Buffalo and other spots unacquainted with Marciano. All they knew was that they had seen a fight won and lost, and they wished to record it that way. So, on March 1st, 1948, the future Rocky Marciano, according to those in the arena, except those who mattered, won the fight. Rocky would later call it skullduggery, whereas coach Rawson would quip, "You have to knock out a New York fighter to win." That Wallace continued to add layers to his victory over the years is forgivable. It was a moment constantly referred to throughout Rocky's professional career, cited as his only loss. It wasn't. Rocky lost at least 2 others. Coley Wallace would indeed win the tournament and turn professional in 1950, but his career in the paid ranks would be underwhelming, losing 7 of his 29 bouts. Amongst the defeats would be fringe contenders Bob Baker and Jimmy Bivens, as well as former champion Ezard Charles. Blaming his manager, the notorious Plinky Palermo, on his inability to make it in the hardest game of all. Wallace would gain a kind of fame beyond this victory through his resemblance to Joe Louis, portraying him no less than 3 times on film, first in the Joe Louis story, then later in the Marciano TV movie, and a brief cameo in the remarkable Raging Bull. The pair would never cross paths in the professional ring, although Wallace would occasionally call Marciano out. Rocky wanted the fight too, but the plain fact was that Coley Wallace just wasn't on Team Wild's radar.
When the chips are down and the bell will ring, Rocky comes through and the birdies sing. His left and rights land on the chin, and a trip to dreamland is about to